Hi guys, it's Cindy Lietz, your Polymer Clay Tutor, and today's studio tip, I'm going to show you how to make your own DIY sanding blocks that you can use for sanding polymer clay, but they also will work great for any other type of crafting project or woodworking project that you need to sand. All right, so in this video I'm going to show you a bunch of different examples, why you'd even want to have a sanding pad, the difference between a sanding pad and sanding sponges, and how they work and everything and how to make them. All right, so when you're sanding polymer clay, you can get a really beautiful finish if you hand sand. And usually we do that. I have actually a whole bunch of videos on it already, so you can check those out. But what you basically need is some wet dry sandpaper, whether you're using an automotive sandpaper like these ones here, in a bunch of different grits. Oh, and by the way, I will leave links in the description to all the products that I talk about in this video so that you don't have to look them up yourself. All right, so you can get wet dry sandpaper in all kinds of different grits. You can also get something that's called polishing papers that come in super fine grits. You can use something like micro mesh. There's lots of different abrasives out there, and if you use them when you're sanding polymer clay, generally what we do is we take a piece in whatever grit that we're using. We rip it into a small enough piece to deal with, and we usually fold it over and sand our piece, and then it wears out. And the thing is if you use a sanding block or a sanding pad, you can get a lot more wear out of your sandpaper. So for example, if you've got a little piece of sandpaper here, it tends to get folded. You never really end up using all the edges of the piece, and it wears out in certain spots. Also, it can be hard to hold in your hand. Your hand can get a little stiff. When you're sanding with it directly, sometimes people are getting their fingertips sanded down and all kinds of stuff. So a sanding pad makes it a lot easier to hold. And having a little bit of cushion to it gives a lot more give when you're sanding something with a rounded surface. There are all kinds of sanding blocks and things available on the market already. There are things called sanding sponges, and that's what this is here, a sanding sponge. You can see this one's very worn out. I'd never use this one on polymer clay. It's a little too coarse. And then there's like thin ones like this one here. This one actually is a 3000 grit sanding sponge. There's these sanding sponges here that I just got from a polymer clay pen making kit from Penn State Industries. They're a spongy little sanding pad or sanding sponge, and then it's got kind of a fabric type abrasive on it. They work really nicely. Then there are the micro mesh pads. There's the little ones like this. There's a little bit larger size. I believe it is 2 by 3 inch size, or it could be 3 by 4. Can't quite remember. Anyways, there's these. And the nice thing about the cushion on this is that it's got enough give. You can bend it a little bit, but it's something to hold on to. And then, there's things that are meant for the nail art, or taking care of your fingernails. This one is a nail buffing type tool. It has 2 different grits on it, and it's made with a sponge that has a bit of a give to it. Also, if you have a jewel tool, there's different products out there. There's I don't know if Doug can get up close here, but this has got what they call a bump-on pad, which is a little bit of cushion. They also have a new thicker cushion that for the abrasives. But I can show you how you can make your own with really cheap materials, and it just makes it so much more cost effective. And you can use whatever abrasive that is your favorite. You can use a firmer one like I'm going to show you today. This is a thicker foam, and it has enough room to hold on to, but still a fair amount of give, so it's good for rounded surfaces or square surfaces. Or you can use a little bit thinner foam like these ones here, where you can bend it right into small areas, curve it right around larger areas, and it still gives enough of something to hold on to so that it's not so hard on your fingers and your hands. And also, I've also made my own DIY cushions for my jewel tool by using the same technique. So let me show you the different materials and what you can do. All right, so you're going to need to choose the abrasive of your choice. I've got some videos on abrasives. I'll be doing lots more in the future. If you have questions about it specifically, then make sure to ask in the comment section below. But these are some polishing pads or papers that I've bought before. I'm going to use the wet dry sandpaper. It's readily available. I found a set that has like a whole bunch of different types of grits in it that I'll put the link to. But all that you can get it in like 220 grit, 400 grit, 600, I have 800, and I have 1,000 here. And these are all beautiful grits to use with polymer clay. The one I'm going to make, I need to make a, which one do I need to make? I need to make an 800 one, so I'll grab one of those sheets now. Okay, where is it? There it is, this piece of paper. And then you're going to need some foam to stick that to. So there's a couple of really cool options. You can get, this is called craft foam. You can get it in lots of fun colors and stuff. I happen to have some in black and white. This is quite thin stuff here. It's got an adhesive backing to it. You could use that if you wanted to. Today I'm going to be using this thicker stuff. It is 6 millimeters thick, which is about 1/4 of an inch thick. And it's just craft foam. People use it for all kinds of different things. It's super cheap. So you can buy them for around $1 a package or $1 a sheet. This one is an 8.5 by 11 type size. And these ones don't have adhesive on it, but I'm going to show you how to use it without adhesive. And you need an adhesive of some sort. So these ones I made using some it's used in the scrapbooking industry a lot. It's really strong, super strong double stick tape. This one is actually made by a company called ScorePal, and I'll put a link for that as well. But it comes in a variety of widths. This one, because it was sold in Canada, is this, I think this is like 30 millimeters, but the ones sold in the States are more like they're 1 inch. So this is just like 1 inch and 1/8 wide. But the 1 inch one is a little bit more practical size. And I'm going to be using that one, but you could also use these little ones here were made by my friend. After I was telling her I was making these pads, she made her own little pads with some thinner foam. And then she used Gorilla Glue. And whatever adhesive you use, it needs to be able to handle being in the water. You don't want to use white glue that's going to, like regular white glue, that will just soften up and fall apart once it's been in the water, because we're going to use that in water whenever we're sanding with it. So all you need to do is figure out what size you want your sanding block to be. She made hers quite little, very similar to the micro mesh ones, but I made mine a little larger, like a little more room. But you could make it, if you've got a bigger hand, if you're a man or something, you've got a larger hand, then you can make it whatever size you like and whatever is comfortable to you. So I like this one. It's double the width of my tape, so it's about 2 1/4 inches wide. And I'm going to use a ruler. This is one of those Tim Holtz rulers with the grid on it, so you can keep it nice and straight, but it's got a metal edge on it. So you want to use something like that. Let's get this all out of the way. So I have my table here. You'll want to use a self-healing mat, something you can cut on without wrecking it. And I'm going to cut mine 2 1/4 inches wide, but you probably cut yours 2 inches wide if you get a 1 inch size tape. So 2 1/4. And I'm just going to use a craft knife to cut it out. I have this really new cool craft knife that I'll show you. This one is called a pen blade, and I guess it was like the product of the year. It's super, super sharp, and I just love it. So you press this button down and the knife comes out, and then you close it up like that. But I'm going to use that one to cut out the foam. I won't use it when I cut out the sandpaper because I don't want to wreck my good knife with the blade. But I wanted to show you this cool blade. All right. All I'm going to do is just cut through the craft foam at 2 1/4 inches wide. Just like that. Cuts like butter or stiff butter. And then this is 9 inches long, so I'm going to make it evenly split. So I'm going to do a 3 and 3. Whoop. Like that. And cut it again. Now, you don't have to be super perfect. If you wanted to have a different shape, you could do that. Square is nice and easy to do because you can get lots and lots of pieces out of a sheet of paper and one sheet of sandpaper, one sheet of foam. Just like that. You could also get those micro mesh sheets, so those would work great as well. Now, I'm going to use the double stick tape. Like I said, this is a beautiful product. I'm just going to stick it down to my foam. Like that. Cut it off. Stick another piece down. Now, the nice thing about making your own, like I said, is that now there won't be any limits to what type of adhesive you can get. I mean, what kind of abrasive you can get in a foam form or a sanding pad form. Because, you know, you don't find every type of sandpaper on a foam. So, and they're expensive. These, well, the micro mesh ones, for example, are like $10 to $20 for a set, and then they wear out. Where if you make them yourself, they're just pennies really to make them, and then you can change them up. You can keep adding new sheets of paper on them and everything else. Okay, so I'm just using like a little tool bone tool to make sure it's really stuck down. That, and then I'm just going to pop it up. Did I stick it down? Nope. You just want to make sure it's really stuck. You don't want any air bubbles or water to get underneath there, because then it'll start peeling up and then that'll be a pain. And you don't want that. All right, so let's get this up here. There we go. There we go. Alrighty. Now we can stick this down to any of the sandpapers. So where did I put it? So this is my 800 grit. I'm just going to stick that down to the paper. I'm going to leave a little space around it so I can trim it nice and tight. I don't want to have any paper sticking out. And now I'm going to use my not so great craft knife. This one is getting worn out, so I don't want to use a really sharp, beautiful knife on sandpaper. It's going to be hard on it. But anyways, I will trim around it. Hopefully my hand's not in the way. Just trim around it. If there was any tape hanging over the edge, then I can remove it at this time. You want it just as clean as possible. Here we go. And now we have an 800 grit sanding block. Super easy. Now I'm going to write on the back here so I know what it is. Just going to use a ballpoint pen and really press hard into the back here so it leaves a little indent. If you use a Sharpie or something, you might see it. But the black on black might be hard. So I'm just going to kind of press right into that foam. And now I have a little sanding block that I can use. It does beautiful in the water. So I got the water here. You can just put it right in the water. It's always going to float. And you can sand your little piece however you want. And it's nice to hold. It's got your fingers up out of the way. You can bend it a little if you need it. Now, if you like the more flexible ones, then just use the thinner foam. And one thing I was going to point out to you, one thing that will make your sandpaper last a lot longer is if you clean it. Now this one here, it's not too bad, but can you see that there's some color on the sandpaper there? That's because there's polymer clay trapped in it. You'll usually see it on the coarser grits a lot, but just use like a toothbrush and scrub it. It'll get all the, get it out from those little valley nooks and crannies and valleys in there. It'll clean it right up, and then it'll make it work a lot longer. So if you're going to do something like this for the jewel tool, for example, most of you probably don't have one, but if you have a jewel tool and you want to make one of these nice cushions, what you're going to do is you're going to grab your foam. You're going to take your Ninja disc or abrasive, trace around it with a pencil, and then what you're going to do is cut it out with the X-Acto knife. You're going to use this, you're going to stick this to it. This has an adhesive on the back of it. You're going to peel that off and stick that down to your foam, and then you're going to use the adhesive to stick it to your back pad. Actually, it's easier to cut the adhesive if you stick the adhesive all on the back, like the tape on the back first, in a block big enough to fit the area, and then don't peel up the paper. Then trace around here. Sorry, I should have mentioned that first. Trace around here, cut it out, and cut right through to the other paper in the back, and then it stays cleaner. It's easier to cut around than trying to fiddle around trying to cut out your tape. All right, so I hope that was helpful for you. If it was, do let us know. And if you would like to if you have any suggestions for techniques, tips, demos that you would like me to do, make sure to leave those in the comment section below. And make sure to subscribe to our channel. We've got lots of cool stuff coming in all the time. And we'd love that if you subscribed and click the like button and shared the video and all that fun social media stuff. All right, so we'll see you next time, and bye for now.